Hello, Robert John Burton, reading another script about my life living with Asperger's. I, one, me, moi, myself, him over here is a complicated creature of obsessive habits and other traits that identify as having autism spectrum disorder. In a perfect multicultural world, it would not matter. But this tired, sad old planet is a bit battered around the edges, so it is full of difficult, judgmental humans who all insist only they, as I, one, me, moi, myself, him, her, person over there, is only right. There's no right way. The traits I'm going to discuss are very normal human behaviours that are intensified in autistic people like me. It is an education to understand what autism is for one person telling it, as there are set in the mud stereotypical views of autism. Autism spectrum disorder is just that, a spectrum from brilliantly clever to thick as a brick, just like everyone else. The differences start with emotional reactions, including tense sensitivities and extreme ways that can lead to complicated health issues and spin out into difficulties understanding how life moves along. I am not a programmable robot with certain predispositions. I have a lack of empathy, I have a lack of guilt, and I have a lack of jealousy. All important emotions to make human connections. Rather, I have rich, deep feelings that work in different contexts and make growing up stressful and confusing. It is vulgar and the refined to think how wide a difference. To think the difference will still continue to others, yet we lie beyond the difference. I have the pleasure from looking at the sky. I have pleasure from art. I do enjoy myself in the city or on country roads. Many things that neurotypicals might do as they also flow onwards to others. You and I flow onwards. However, in due time, I shall take less interest in them as I take up another obsession. When I do not understand those emotions very well is the stuff of stories in this blog. I can go crazy and get extremely angry in certain times when unfairness rules my bones. Such transgressions of others' lives, bad behaviour and tittle-tattle. So many people see me coming and ignore my requests or misuse my goodwill. Otherwise I mask, but actually I do not care, and I'm not being mean. It is the way my brain works in different wiring and action centres exploding. Some emotions do not exist for me. I appear as a cold-hearted bastard to some because it is ridiculously hard for me to have any kind of empathy to someone that I do not know, wherever, whoever, whatever they be. Mind you, I find emotional overkill precludes good judgment. Videos about the abuse of animals and humans makes me angry because I want the perpetrators punished. Made worse because my father abused me. So much belting and punching me from 6 years old. I want to get those fools and hurt them as I was. This is my processes of people being hurt. I'm not in for them. I want justice served. The issue is clear cut, black and white. Hurt the perpetrator, not for the humans and animals, but for what they did wrong. Consciousness distances us from nothing. Confusing for many. You treat a living thing well, or you suffer because you did not. But I am straightforward, so do not lie to me. I know how people believe stories, myths and legends because that is the way they want life to be. I cannot be kind to such people. I am in two minds. I'm half autistic and half not. It just seems what you cannot understand in a person like me is that I probably appear to be perfectly good working mature male until you hit the naive behaviour of a child. People think I'm weird, or so amusing with my childhood behaviour. I have two personalities without schizophrenia, so I'm excluded from grown-up acceptance and given menial work well below my ability to get the postgraduate degree with academic awards which I have. So I have never been accepted as part of a group because, like the element sodium hitting water, there will inevitably be consequences. I do not know if they are really friends. My experience always been that emotionally I do not connect to or feel or can appropriately express things in the correct situations. My manners guidebook is out of date and missing pages in certain etiquette. Oh, I can be funny. It is a mask for my insecurity. Most times I'm off track. But that is what is true for most good literature and interesting art, because it doesn't grow in tranquil times, and as artists are always children at heart, then artistic types will be challenged every day. Other traits that I have, and I'm trying to remember them because things blur together and I forget things. My short-term memory is horrible. Try giving me a number code over the phone quickly and I will find out where you live and insult your grandmother. Daily, there is struggling with change. I struggle to break out of an emotional state. Fortunately, I have an incredibly long-term memory and an adaptive imagination. I can look at blank things and see stuff. Pictures appear. Sculptures are made. Swirling abstract shapes turn solid and become recognisable forms. I remember at 3 to 4 years old, I was sitting with Teddy in a small water-filled canvas swimming pool, and he was never the same again. I have no temperature regulation of hot and cold. I could be extremely cold and be turning blue or toasting right into skin cancer. My skin burns so easily and I'm always shedding skin. I always just seem to be hot regardless of the weather. My body is sensitive to different types of fabrics and stuff. Itchy and scratchy are Simpsons cartoons, not a designer cloth. So many bad clothing purchases. What will be, for what is, well. A perfect mess is okay. Coping with this disorder is living. Food is the same. To like some textures and have sensitivity to some food stuff that others slurp and slop. Oh, they can wreck a meal for me. So I just ate a little of some foods to fit in because everyone else was doing so. I cringe at the noises of eating. It sounds creepy. More about noises later. Social eating with strangers caused me considerable anxiety, as did the food. Now I do not eat out. One tends to eat remarkably similar stuff over a week, and is mostly vegetarian. All my sensitivities has aggravated and compromised my immune system. I'm never really very well. Another big thing for me is that I'm lousy at executive function, especially around planning long-term budgets. To take interest as well, and not to take interest shall be well. I do not think about what bills might be on the way and planning for a future. There is a future. I do not think about you because what else I might need that money for. However, caring for pets and ill people during the AIDS crisis reminded me of a life outside of mine and what is happening in the next month. Although it became exceedingly difficult for me to balance and control my impulse spending, but lessons are learnt. Overload is the problem here. If there is too much going on, I need to find soothing things or I have a meltdown. Collecting stuff becomes more than a hobby. It is the reason to be alive until one becomes sick of it and I move on to something else. Better to have a special interest. As for Aspies and obsession, luckily, although some of my art practice has been stymied by my inability to communicate with difficult people, as you can hear, I have problems with speaking. I still work at it. I paint, draw, illustrate, doodle, ink, finger paint, varnish, design, photograph, study, appropriate, critique, colour, and feel my way through my obsessive trait. There is an attraction to uncommon interests. I notice different stuff, and my hyperfocus makes me good at academia. My social life has been quite difficult because I dislike pointless small talk, and people do not like my more direct approach. People bother me who do not think deeply. I initiate passionate thought process. Although I have black and white thinking, on, off, stay, leave, grow, diminish, eat, starve, like, hate, try, fail, give, take, tomorrow, or never. Nevertheless, it's an extremely logical point of view in a grey world. And what that means that if you are illogical, hysterical, patronising, overbearing, manipulative, needy, or simply crazy, I do not want to stop and smell the roses with you. A lot of frustration results, which fuels my soothing, obsessions and stimming. As a kid, I was a headbanger and a spinner. Later, I developed an executia nervosa. I would go week without food. There's no subtlety. I do stuff. My expressions often drop like a lead albatross. I'm telling it as I see it. A quicker route to get information or demands out. Many see me coming with a blank stare of defiance. Mr. Burton has Asperger's, and he knows what he needs, best not to argue. From a noticeably young age, I was clearly obsessed with getting my own way, even though I could not clearly articulate in the early years. Autistic children are fundamentally less interested in social engagement. Even once my belting father acknowledged hitting me as commanded by my mad mother was useless, although he obliged anyway. Other kids not like me. I ended up alone because I was deemed sarcastic when I was being direct. I did what I said and impressed some teachers, so I made jealous enemies. My mother would overload me with household chores to stop me studying. Later and now, work and study happens a lot at night, so I have always been a night owl. It is quieter and I can play my low volume trance music which soothes me. Loud noises, whether background or in my face, will create a meltdown. When feeling angry, it has been observed that the person with Asperger's syndrome does not appear to be able to pause and think of alternative strategies to resolve the situation. I will act instantaneously. My physical response is without any thought of my well-being. So neighbours will be confronted over noise as I see it as an incursion into my space. Leaf blowers, revving car engines, whips snapping. Yes, I do not kid you, this is Australia. Out of control screaming kids, domestic disputes, badly maintained lawnmowers, unexpected parties, backyard radios, drunken language, broken pool pumps, and loud you will have a scene you did not expect. I collect information, confront, call police, and make enemies. Tough? Think I care? Did you consider me? I have never lost a fight over noise because there are state and council bylaws. Noise is pollution. Nevertheless, it remains a daily concern that requires noise-cancelling earphones and distractions. If there is a bodily thing that for me defines my autism, it is my sensitivity to noise. Something I know from experience does not bother others. So, who am I? An ageing man on the autism spectrum who is less concerned about how life will end than trying to cope with others. Someone who feels different, alien. Something has been missing with my relating. But that is the nature of my condition. So I worry about not being believed. As not understanding the dynamics of frustrating situation creates confusion. I do not like getting upset at situations I know other people do not get upset about. What do you want from me? I have certain intellectual abilities at the expense and to the detriment of other abilities. But then who has the full package? Always on my best behaviour, I earn points for endurance, because with all of the disasters of my life, I am hyper-vigilant. Someone said I was not a walking pathology, but I am. Denying it does what so many others have done to me, abandoned me because it was too much to cope with. I am a survivor of so much abuse that it makes an alarming list, and I did not go to a war zone. My life was that zone. I have found the right mix of a skill set to endure. I know how to ask for help, albeit with boundaries. I have interests to keep me busy. My days and nights are full. Aspies seem to know how to use time well. Our gift to others. This is my life. Thank you for listening.